Gotta aim for the top like, hold up. Yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element, it's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy, the riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me, but known for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish, consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You try to aim for the top like this and you're in your element with a fire like this, and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas, 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition Conference Championship Week here at the Printing Money Podcast. Thank you guys for coming out today. I, as always, am your host, Travis Cochran. God, I love football. Let's go. This is going to be a good one, guys. As you can see, no co-host joining us today, but podcast here nonetheless. I do have some notes and tidbits of the conversations we had behind the scenes. Unfortunately, we have had some scheduling conflicts on getting this recorded, so more important for me to make sure we get it out. So it's just me this week, but all the same content, every single piece of advice that you are looking for, every game breakdown, every detail, every bet, going to be right here with us. Get ready to print on Conference Championship Sunday. And guys, I got to tell you, it's been a big month here at Printing Money. We are doing big things. If you've been riding along with us, you're doing well. We finished up 9 units last week. All of those plays came out on social media. Most of them were on TikTok and Instagram. I do apologize for us not having a podcast last week. It is recorded. There was a download issue of the initial recording on our initial host platform, and I had to contact support, etc., and they were not able to get me the recording of that show, the edited version, etc., that we had done on that platform until almost Tuesday. We weren't available to re-record it, so I just ended up putting out all the plays on social media. I will release that show. What my plan is to do a bunch of video shorts on it that'll come out over the next couple weeks, kind of showing where we were at and what the breakdowns were behind those picks. But if you follow the picks, you won. We were up 9 units last week on divisional round playoffs, and we're not slowing down here in Conference Championship Week. This is what we do. But if you're interested in the breakdown that came behind those bets, why we went the directions we did, I will be releasing it. It was only a 28-minute episode. I chopped it down in like 30-second bits, and it'll be coming out in shorts on every platform over the next month or so. I didn't want to release it in its entirety after the games had played. Thought that might confuse some viewers, etc. So, alas, that is what happened last week. Hopefully you got my apology on social media that I gave out before the game started when I started posting all the plays. Anyways, enough of the nonsense. Let's stop talking about last week. That's not what you're here for. You're here for Conference Championship Week, and that's why I'm here, and I'm ready to go. First on the slate, we have the Baltimore Ravens playing host to the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, back-to-back road games in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, fresh off his first victory in the playoffs at home, a blowout of the Houston Texans, who held on for the first 30 minutes, and then it was a rout in one of the rare things that we got wrong last week, where we had the Texans plus 9.5. Of course, we also have Baltimore on quite a few teasers. We tried to middle pretty much every game, and a lot of that's going to be happening this week. It's the playoffs, guys. This is kind of how you make money in these situations with evenly matched teams once you get later and deeper in the rounds. But I do have a full breakdown on this game, and this game is probably one of the most difficult games to handicap that I have ever looked at, and it's literally just because Patrick Mahomes is a problem, okay? I mean, he is the best covering quarterback as an underdog in NFL history. He is the best covering quarterback in playoff history once you're over 10 games. he doesn't lose if he's less than a minus 3-point favorite. He's just absolutely money, and you're going to give him 3 and a hook. 3 and a hook. I got to be honest, it's fishy. It's fishy. It's too good of a number. It's way too good of a number. It's a spot that I would almost always tell you guys, play the number, but I can't play the number with this team. Look, they're fraudulent. This is a fraudulent football team, and I realize this is not a popular opinion. I'm not here for popular opinions. I do the podcast to give information and breakdowns that you guys can go and take and be winning sports bettors this weekend. And my money is all over the Baltimore Ravens. It's all over Lamar Jackson. It's all over the best ranked defense when adjusted for statistical accuracy, literally of the last 30 years. The Baltimore Ravens are historically good right now. And you're not going to have an issue like you did last week where Andy Reid is just such a better coach than John Harbaugh that there's fear and somebody's faking punts from their own 30 with a bunch of time left in the game. You're not going to have an issue where Justin Tucker misses the game-tying field goal like Tyler Bass did to us in the Bills game last week. You're not going to have an injured, riddled defense, starting veteran linebackers of 14 years who came off their couch and now have to play a playoff game against Patrick Mahomes, which is almost an impossible ask like you did last week. And you're not going to have frigid temperatures in the 1 degree mark where a kid from Hawaii tries to play against one of the best pass defenses in the league in the Kansas City Chiefs, and they can't run the ball because there's snow all over the field and everybody's freezing. Nope. You're not going to have those issues. Look, this is the same Kansas City Chiefs team that went to Las Vegas, played Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders, laid an absolute egg against Max Crosby's pass rush, and lost the game outright. Outright, in one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Mahomes, and we are literally barely a month removed from that game. This is the same team that all year you guys told me Travis Kelce was broken. I told you Travis Kelce was broken. They've had countless issues catching and holding on to the football. They have almost no receiving core. This is that team. You remember that team? The team that all year we kept saying it's over for them. They're not going back. It's not going to work. This isn't the Chiefs of old. That team. Yeah, that team is still here, guys. Just because they go play the Miami Dolphins, the team least built for the conditions that were played in Wild Card Weekend, least built in the NFL, a fast, elusive, explosive Mike McDaniels coach juggernaut that has a kid that literally plays quarterback, and he's so good at accurately getting rid of the ball quickly. They built a team around Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, all based on timing routes. So Tua looks amazing on timing routes, slants, curls, anything less than 20 yards down the field with a bunch of yak attached to it, and then the occasional deep ball that comes off the play action because Mostert and A-Chain are just dominating the running game, right? Tua looks great in those situations. They're not a physical team. They don't block physically. They don't do any of that stuff. That's why I told you the Kansas City Chiefs would crush them in the elements in which they played. That makes sense, right? Then last week, I'm still shocked. I'm shocked Tyler Bass missed. I'm shocked the Buffalo Bills didn't do more. I really thought this was Josh Allen's time to get this done. I think it's the worst playoff career loss for Josh Allen and the Bills in the game they were actually expected to win this time. Being a favorite at home, you can't drop that game, but they did. It's more about what the Bills didn't do than this, to me, what the Kansas City Chiefs did do. You're not going to have either one of those scenarios this week. Let me tell you what scenario you're going to have this week. You've got Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, two of the best linebackers in the NFL. They're not going to have linebacking problems like the other two teams. Miami riddled 7 starters out on defense. Buffalo, veterans across the board. When I say veteran, I mean guys that were on their couch and re-signed. This is not like Von Miller veteran. This is like I was retired veteran. Okay? So now you've got two of the fastest, best covering, most physical linebackers in the game disrupting Travis Kelce. This will not be the Travis Kelce pinata the last 2 weeks will be. He's not going to look like that. This is a game that's going to have rain. 61% chance right now of precipitation in Baltimore. This is a game that's going to be a Lamar Jackson run fest. You saw Lamar Jackson come back last week, running the ball all over the Houston Texans. That's not going to stop here. The Chiefs don't have a wonderful rush defense. They have a phenomenal pass defense. But that's okay, because that's not how Lamar is going to beat you. They like to get pressure up the middle, Kansas City Chiefs, right? And they like to force the quarterback to not be able to step up in the pocket and deliver balls, and their secondary can hold coverage long enough for that to happen. That doesn't work against Lamar. What does pressure up the middle do to Lamar Jackson? He just gives him running lanes. Now you got to bring a QB spy in. You bring a QB spy down, which means you can't play the zone coverage that you love so much, which means you're going to have holes out there. Holes for incredibly fast receivers. Holes for an incredibly explosive running game with Gus Edwards and Lamar. Holes for a Baltimore Ravens team that top to bottom is just stacked and far superior at this point to the Kansas City Chiefs roster. It just is. Look, I love Mahomes. He's great. He's the guy, the absolute guy, but this isn't the absolute spot. Ravens, -3.5. I actually think it has potential to be a lot more than that. If you like the Chiefs side of this ball game, the fact of the matter is the spread is going up, okay? The spread is going way up right now. You could find this game at 4 at half the books right now, okay? You can find it at 4.5 probably Sunday morning. At which point, I think you have to tease the Kansas City Chiefs to +10.5. I think you have to take them with the San Francisco 49ers -1, a game we'll get to next. I'm also on the Ravens -3.5. I'm also on the Kansas City Chiefs teased to 10. I'm on the 49ers teased with them to 1. I'm also on the Chiefs teased to the over of 38.5. And over, I think they hit quite easily in this game. It's not like Mahomes is just going to lay down. And I think that 10-point teaser always has a backdoor available. When Mahomes has the ball at the end of a football game, you know they're scoring. That's just what they do. But I don't think they have it to keep up with the Ravens here. I think it's going to be indicative of the refs. It always is in the Mahomes playoff game. What are they calling? How physical are they letting the Ravens play? Etc. We'll get a read on that early and some live bets out. But guys, I'm riding the Baltimore Ravens here. Hamilton's back. He's going to be able to drop in on Kelsey. He's going to be able to shield the big down the field passes that they've been getting away with the last couple of weeks against blown coverage. Look, just because Mahomes had 2 wonderful games and Kelsey looked rejuvenated and this team played great, and I haven't even mentioned Pacheco, who I think is probably their best offensive weapon right now, who will still have a good game in this game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's not enough talent on that side of the ball to get this done. The Ravens have all the weapons in the world. The matchups are completely bad for the Chiefs in this game. And I'm telling you, it was a facade. It was a facade. The defenses that they saw in Miami and Buffalo were a facade. It's a mirage. Mahomes is great, but this team is not. And you're going to see that Sunday morning in Baltimore, Maryland. Ravens going to the Super Bowl in a rematch against the San Francisco 49ers. Let's break it down. Here we go. You knew I was going to take it. Come on. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. Look. Historically great defense. Historically great offense. Statistically great coach. I've been frustrated with Kyle Shanahan for years. I'm like the only 49ers fan in the world that doesn't love Kyle Shanahan. My problem with Kyle Shanahan is blatant, blunt, simple, clear, and I've been saying it for 3 years. Okay? When he gets in the playoffs, he gets into his own head, and for some reason, he abandons the ship that got him. He started doing it in Atlanta when Tom Brady was down 28-3, and all of a sudden, Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons can't run the football. In fact, they didn't even try to run the football. They started throwing the football. They started going 3 and out. They started shifting all the momentum to Brady, and then Brady won the game. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of that football team. Then he gets promoted. 2017, 49ers head coach. I'm here. I'm ready to go. Let's get this done. Makes a Super Bowl. Gets Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They're up 20-10. And then all of a sudden, Raheem Mostert, who had 245 yards on the ground the week before, in Lambeau against the Packers, all of a sudden, that guy, not used at all. Jimmy's dropping back, going 3 and out against Patrick Mahomes. And you give them all day, and they come back, and they dismantle the San Francisco 49ers in the second half. Kyle Shanahan abandons the game plan that got him there. And I convinced myself, and I told myself, he would not do it last week. He wouldn't. There's no way he's going to do it with Christian McCaffrey as his running back. There's no way he's going to do it with the best player in the world on his football team. But he did. McCaffrey ripped off 2 huge runs, right? Which made a salvageable day for touchdowns and a 49ers win. He played great when called upon next. But with Deebo Samuel out of the lineup, Brock Purdy attempted more pass attempts than any other game this season. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we always do this. I don't understand why you get to the playoffs and you do this, Kyle. But there's a reason to my rant and there's a reason to my madness. And the reason is what's going to happen this week because of it. The Detroit Lions are terrible at defending the pass. So now I'm actually relying on Kyle Shanahan to call this playoff game like he called every other playoff game. And let's just let Brock cook. Let him cook. Let him go out there and chef it up. Let him crush it. Let's go. I don't understand why we wouldn't against this team. They haven't allowed over 70 yards to a rusher all year. So let's not go back to run the football now. Now, I do have an over we'll talk about in a minute. I think Christian McCaffrey over 87.5 yards this week. It is a prop I have played. I like that prop a lot. But the reason for it is not because I expect McCaffrey to pound the rock, get a bunch of carries, etc. I actually also took him under 19.5 carries. I expect play action passes, a lot of passing. It's going to make the linebackers of Detroit drop deep. Then Trent Williams, this offensive line, George Kittle, Juice can get to work, open some big holes, and McCaffrey will have those same explosive plays he had last week. I think McCaffrey has 15 to 16 carries in this game for the first 100-yard rusher allowed all season by the Detroit Lions, and at least a touchdown. But I think the story is Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy drops back, throws this ball 25 to 30 times, has over 300 yards against an atrocious Detroit Lions secondary in this one, guys. That is what I see happening here. I've got to be honest, I actually think Shanahan's weakness is going to help us in this game. Now, let's just do it now. Let's talk about the naysayers. Let's talk about everyone who doesn't believe in Brock Purdy. What do you want from me? 62.7% completion percentage, first in the NFL. 14.9% pass yards per attempt, first in the NFL. He's third in the NFL. Passing touchdowns, 19 of them. He's got 130.3 passer rating, first in the NFL. Stop talking about the system. Stop talking about how great Shanahan is. Stop talking about how the all-star cast of the 49ers, if they were so great before Brock Purdy, then why doesn't Jimmy Garoppolo have a Super Bowl ring? If they were so great before Brock Purdy, why doesn't Kyle Shanahan have a Super Bowl ring? They weren't this great with Trey Lance. I'm confused. You don't think Brock Purdy elevates the San Francisco 49ers, then you're not watching football. You guys want to talk about these games that he has where he blows up like he did against the Ravens on Christmas Day, and yet still finishes the year with less interceptions than, oh yeah, every top quarterback you guys love. Less interceptions than Josh Allen, less interceptions than Patrick Mahomes, less interceptions than the guy he's playing, Jared Goff. What do you mean he's the worst quarterback left in the playoffs? All you mean is that he's the least tested quarterback left in the playoffs. You have an MVP in Lamar, you have an MVP in Mahomes. You have quarterbacks that have been here and done this before in Mahomes and Goff. So he's the most unknown quarterback in the playoffs. I got that. We can agree on that. That's fine. What has he done as an unknown player in the National Football League? Dominated. He broke every single record you can break in a season set by a 49ers quarterback, including the ones set by this guy right here. What are you talking about, guys? I've never seen an underdog story get hated on so much. We're sitting in a game where you guys love the underdog. You love the Lions this week because of the story, right? Jared Goff, the underdog that was traded, the head coach that's aggressive, the city that hasn't won in years. But you don't love the last pick of the draft that nobody expected anything from? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. What did he do to anyone? And it's not like the Niners are the Yankees, okay? I get when you hate teams that have stacked rosters that they went out and they bought and they paid for in unsalary cap leagues. And it's frustrating because they're buying the sport. We didn't do that in San Francisco. talking about? Fred Warner's a draft pick. Brock Purdy's a draft pick. George Kittle's a draft pick. Nick Bosa's a draft pick. What do you mean? It's homegrown talent. Deebo Samuel's a draft pick. Brandon Ayuk's a draft pick. Do we need to keep going here? Hufanga was a draft pick. Who did we buy? Wait, we won the sweepstakes for Christian McCaffrey? Okay, there was 30 other teams that could have traded for him. I'm confused. What am I missing? We won the sweepstakes for Chase Young. There were 30 other teams that could have traded for him. It's not like we went out in free agency and offered some obscene amount of money to these guys to get them to come sign with us, right? No, so just because John Lynch is good in his job and knows how to build a roster, and that's the team that happened to evaluate the talent, that is Brock Purdy, and then put him on the field with that talent, and then he ended up taking that talent and doing back-to-back NFC championship games with it. Is it a reason to hate on Brock Purdy? It's ridiculous, is what it is. It's ridiculous. On the other side of the football, there's a lot to talk about. You've got Jared Goff and the Lions, who I like a lot, actually. And you can see the flashing light here, plus 7.5 for Detroit. 7 in the hook is just too much in this scenario, with a backdoor cover always available. That being said, I teased the Niners to 1. I'm trying to middle this game. I think this game will be 8 on Sunday. So, if you like the Niners, I think you like it in a teaser. You like it at 7. If you can get it back to 7, I don't think you can like it at anything more than that. This is simply a case where you have to play the number. But Jared Goff, outdoors. Now, granted, it will be perfect conditions this weekend. But Jared Goff, outdoors, not great. Jared Goff against a pass rush, not great. We all know the Niners can bring it. Jared Goff works wonders off the play-action pass to Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown, going over the middle on deep posts and crossing routes. That is the thing that the 49ers defend the best. Fred Warner is the best cover linebacker in the NFL. I truly believe that. Statistically, it pretty much shows that. So I think for sure here, Goff struggles in this game. They're not going to be able to move the football on the ground the way they want to because they can't threaten what the Green Bay Packers could threaten and what made Aaron Jones so pivotal. They like to run the ball with David Montgomery. I think to have success in this game, they need to run the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. Montgomery's not fast enough to hurt the Niners. You need to hurt him with speed on the outside and elusiveness. That's why the Ravens had success. So I just don't think running the ball up the middle with Montgomery against this team does anything for them. I think that they can rush the outside edge on Bosa and Chase Young, collapsing the pocket back into Jared Goff's feet, making him step up and throw the ball over linebackers, which is dangerous in this offense against this defense. I see a lot of interceptions for Jared Goff this week, and I also see some big plays. There's going to be some points. They're going to get theirs, don't get me wrong. But I think Jared Goff makes more mistakes against the San Francisco 49ers defense this week than Brock Purdy makes against the Detroit Lions. And I think the Detroit Lions' Achilles heel of having one of the worst pass defenses ever finally catches up with them. This is going to be a problem for Detroit. I like the Niners in this game. I like the Niners by a lot, honestly. So, I mean, the 7.5 on Detroit is my least favorite bet of the week. It's me trying to middle a game, but I have more units on Niners money line, Niners teaser, etc. So, it's kind of a sprinkle for me, guys. It's a flashing light because we're here to talk about spreads. But I like the Niners here, money line, and on the teaser, I just think the number itself is a little too big. I did not touch the over-under in this one because I think it goes one of two ways. And you cannot tease the Detroit Lions to 13.5. Don't do this. We know all season the Niners historically blow out teams, right? So it's either a close game, which we finally won one of those last week, or it's a blowout, 13.5, no different than 7.5 in this scenario. You just get juiced more. Don't make that mistake. So if you're on the Lions, I don't think you get a worse number here. If you're on the Niners, I think you missed the number here. Grab the teaser, grab the money line, pair them with Baltimore. So Niners-Ravens Super Bowl. We've been calling it for weeks. I don't think it changes here. And of the teams with the opportunity to upset, it's Mahomes before it's Goff. Sorry, Detroit. It's been a great run, and I actually really like the Lions. They're one of my favorite teams, and I do think you'll be back here. I think you're going to be giving the Niners headaches for years. I think you're too young too inexperienced, and the roster just isn't where you need it to be. You're going to shore up the secondary next year. It's going to help you a lot. But this year, Brock Purdy's time. It's going to be a lot of passing. I expect over 300 for Brock Purdy in this one. Bang, bang. Niners game. That's going to break down the conference championship games this week, guys. Not a lot more to it. There are some props here I'm going to run down really quick. We've got Jared Goff. I've got him throwing over 2 interceptions at 4-1. I like this. I expect him to throw one the first half against that linebacking core as he tries to settle in and they make a play. And then I expect him to throw one at the end of the game, trailing fourth quarter. Not necessarily garbage time, but him trying to cover that back door. The Niners get more picks than any team in the NFL in that spot. You saw the one they got last week against Jordan Love. At 4-1, I think this is a real doable possibility. I think he at least throws one, but I like him to throw the second one at the end of this game. I think this game is going to be a problem for the way Detroit likes to work the middle of the field. Christian McCaffrey, as I said earlier, over 87.5 rushing yards, guys. I like him under 19.5 carries. I can't see Shanahan trying to pound the rock in that playoff game. He just doesn't do it. Just doesn't do it. I don't know why, but he just doesn't do it. Over 38.5 teased in the Chiefs game. Niners -1 on that teaser as well. I've got the Chiefs +10. Niners -1 on another one. I have the Ravens and Niners money line. I got it early in the week when you can get it +135. I don't know and I recommend taking it today. I also have the Baltimore Ravens -3 and -3.5. That's where we're at right now. That's everything we have in play. I will have some more prop bets for you. I'm going to put those out on TikTok and Instagram as the game gets closer and these lines start to come out. I'm going to look at team totals, things of that nature. I like the Baltimore Ravens first half. If you can still find it at 2.5. If this line somehow gets back to 3.5, you should be able to find it. At 4, they're favored by 3. I don't like that. The Ravens start incredibly fast, and I have a feeling they will do that in this game. The Detroit Lions are 10-0. When leading after the first quarter of this season. I think the beginning of the game and the 49ers game matters a lot. So that's an interesting look at from a live betting perspective as well that I'll be throwing out bets on. Remember, the Chiefs love to defer. So if we can defer to the Ravens to start the game and a quick Lamar Jackson strike, I think the first half looks good there. Got some George Kittle numbers I'm looking at. Detroit's pretty bad against the tight end. I've got some Deebo Samuel stuff and Ayuk stuff depending on what Samuel's status ends up being Sunday. So a few more things to clear out there. TikTok, Instagram posts going to be coming out with some extra prop bets for you guys. But that's what we like right now at Printing Money. Let's go have our 5th straight profitable week. Unit time is what's happening here in the playoffs. As always, guys, I appreciate you all coming out. You really have no idea how much I love doing this podcast. I love sharing this information with you. These breakdowns are epic. But that's going to do it this week. From the Printing Money Podcast, please like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you're here to see all our content going forward. If you could check out the social media handles and make sure you don't miss those prop plays, I would really appreciate it. Leave a comment. We've got one more show for the football portion of the Printing Money Podcast before we switch over to some other content for the year. What content do you want to see? What can we do better around here? How can I help you with the art of sports betting? Let me know. I'm here. I'm all ears, and we're ready to go. As always, I'm your host, Travis Cochran. This was the Printing Money Podcast, and thank you for coming out. Where sports betting is not just a game. It's an art. Have a good night, everyone.
Gotta aim for the top like, hold up, yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element. It's evident that there's levels to the game.